Once upon a time, in a small village by the sea, there lived a young girl. She was beautiful and kind-hearted. Her name was ShimCheong. Her father was blind and had never seen the light of day, for which the villagers called him Simpansa. Not only was he blind, but he had also become frail with illness. The villagers pitied the poor blind man, but none could truly help him. Yet Simpansa was patient. He never cursed his fate nor complained about his hardships. He was a good man. And fortune had blessed him with a kind wife, a woman who never spoke a harsh word to him. Together, they lived in harmony and peace. The wife earned their living, going from house to house, cooking meals for some, washing clothes for others, her hands skillful at any task. Thus, she supported their family. But one day, the wife passed away, leaving behind their daughter, ShimCheong, who was but 7 days old. Due to their poverty, Simpansa could not afford a nursemaid or a housekeeper. Whenever the little girl cried from hunger, he would cradle her in his arms, wandering from door to door, asking the village women to feed his daughter. Moved by pity, the women would each take turns, one nursing her today, another tomorrow. Thus, ShimCheong grew to the age of 7, guiding her blind father through the village. Some villagers would give them firewood, others a little kanjang, soy sauce. 3 more years passed, and ShimCheong learned how to cook, wash clothes, sew, and keep the house in order. She helped everyone in the village. Thus, the orphan girl lived with her blind father. After a long day's work, ShimCheong would return home, and her father would ask, "Are you tired, my daughter?" ShimCheong would always reply, "Not at all, father. The mistress I worked for today is kind and treats me well." If there happened to be only one piece of food left in the house, ShimCheong would never touch it. Instead, she would give it to her father and say she had eaten at a wedding feast. Word of ShimCheong's kindness spread throughout the neighboring villages. One day, a woman from a nearby village named Aunt Jang heard of her and invited ShimCheong to visit. Surprised, ShimCheong wondered, what could she want with me? Still, she went to visit. When Aunt Jang saw her, she rejoiced. "So you're ShimCheong. I have heard much about your goodness. Never before have I seen such a beautiful and virtuous girl." Before she left, Aunt Jang gave ShimCheong some rice and warmly invited her to visit again whenever she had time. From that day on, ShimCheong often visited Aunt Jang. Time flew by. ShimCheong turned 15. Aunt Jang wished to adopt her as a daughter, but the girl refused. "Please forgive me, kind lady," she said, "but I cannot abandon my blind father. He has never seen the light of the world. My mother died when I was just 7 days old, and I cannot be so ungrateful. Now I see you truly are a devoted daughter," exclaimed Aunt Jang, showering her with praise. Before ShimCheong left, Aunt Jang gave her more rice and some clothes. That day, ShimCheong was delayed returning home. Her father grew worried, took his staff, and set out to meet her. It was wintertime. The new year had just arrived, and a cold January wind was blowing. Crossing the river, where the ice was thin, Simpansa slipped and fell into the freezing water. "Help me," he cried. Fortunately, a passing monk heard him and rushed to pull him out. Afterward, Simpansa asked, "What noble soul saved me?" "I am a monk from the Manunsa temple," the man replied. Then, realizing Simpansa was blind, he added, "Forgive me, I had not noticed your blindness." Simpansa thanked him and, weeping bitterly, cried out in despair, "Will I ever see the light of day?" "Offer 300 suk of rice to Buddha and pray fervently," the monk said. "Then the heavens may have mercy and restore your sight." Overjoyed, Simpansa replied, "I will do it. I will donate the rice, if only I could see again." Without thinking where he would find such an enormous amount, he signed a sacred pledge the monk gave him. Returning home, Simpansa appeared troubled. ShimCheong questioned him, and he confessed everything. "Poor father," she said, "where could we possibly find so much rice?" His heavy sigh weighed on her heart like a stone. From that day, ShimCheong began praying daily, offering water in a bowl, pleading with heaven to grant her father his sight. One day, a neighbor, Aunt Quiddick, came and told her, "Fishermen are in the village. They seek a maiden to offer as a sacrifice to the dragon king of the sea. They will pay any price asked." "Why would they need a girl?" ShimCheong asked. "To offer as a living sacrifice, to calm storms and bring fortune to their trade. It's a cruel custom, tossing a living soul into the sea. Savages, not men." "The heavens themselves have sent these fishermen to me." She went to them and said, "I will become your sacrifice, but you must first deliver 300 suk of rice to the Manunsa temple for my father's sake." The fishermen agreed. ShimCheong told no one of her decision. If her father found out, he would be devastated. As evening fell, she went home and said, "Rejoice, father. I have found the rice." Simpansa almost danced with joy. "Truly? Where did you find it?" It was hard for ShimCheong to lie. Never once in her life had she spoken falsely. But this was for her father's good. "Aunt Jang," she said, "offered to adopt me. At first, I refused. But then I told her about your vow to the monk, and she immediately agreed to donate the rice for your sake." Such kindness, the old man cried. It is hard to believe such goodness still exists in the world. Before leaving her home forever, ShimCheong went to Aunt Jang to say goodbye and told her everything. Aunt Jang wept and said, "You are a truly filial daughter. I will donate the rice myself." But ShimCheong refused. "I made up my mind. For my father's sight, I am ready even to give up my life." When the villagers heard of ShimCheong's sacrifice, they praised her, wept for her, and mourned her fate. But Simpansa remained unaware of his daughter's decision. ShimCheong showed no sign of sorrow, busying herself with sewing clothes for her father and caring for the house. Yet, in her heart, she counted the days until their final farewell. At last, the final night came. Simpansa slept peacefully, while ShimCheong sat beside him, tears rolling down her cheeks. She would tenderly smooth his blanket, caress his hands. At dawn, she rose quietly to prepare her father's last meal. The fishermen arrived. "Today we set sail. Be ready." Hearing this, ShimCheong wept and begged, "Let me prepare one last meal for my father." The fishermen agreed. ShimCheong prepared the food, placed it on the table, and sat beside her father. "Eat well, father," she said. "I am eating, my daughter," he replied. "Such delicious food you brought. Must be from a wedding feast or a memorial." Hearing this, ShimCheong could no longer hold back her tears. She wept aloud. Alarmed, Simpansa asked, "What is wrong, my daughter? Are you ill?" "No, father. I am well," she replied. She washed her face, knelt before the altar, and prayed to the heavens one last time. "Please, let my father see again." Then she approached her father and said, "Forgive me, father. I have deceived you. I sold myself for 300 suk of rice. The fishermen have come for me, and today I must leave. I shall never return home again." At this, her father cried out, "What good are my eyes if I cannot see you? Better that I stay blind, but keep you by my side." His grief moved the fishermen. They gave the old man enough money and rice to last a lifetime. ShimCheong, meanwhile, said her farewells to the villagers, asking them to look after her father. She began saying farewell to the villagers, asking them to look after her father. She boarded the fisherman's boat, and they set off to sea. The boat sailed farther and farther from the shore. Soon the village, the mountains, and the trees disappeared from view. The fishermen, hard-hearted as they were, grew uneasy. They prepared the girl for the sacrifice, dressed her in fine clothes, adorned her with flowers, and then, when they reached the deepest part of the sea, they threw her into the waves. Sinking into the depths, ShimCheong did not struggle. She clasped her hands in prayer, asking heaven to forgive her sins and to grant her father his sight. And then something miraculous happened. Instead of drowning, ShimCheong found herself sinking slowly, gently, as if carried by invisible hands, until she reached the Dragon King's underwater palace. The palace glittered with jewels, and its splendor was beyond anything she could have imagined. The Dragon King himself came out to meet her. His appearance was both majestic and kind. The Dragon King decided to return ShimCheong to the world of the living. He placed her gently inside a lotus flower and set it afloat on the surface of the sea. Meanwhile, in the human world, a grand festival was being held at the royal court. The king, weary of his lonely life and yearning for a queen, had decreed that he would marry the maiden who appeared out of the most beautiful lotus blossom. Servants found the magnificent lotus floating on the waters and brought it before the king. As the lotus flower opened, ShimCheong emerged, radiant and beautiful beyond words. The king was struck by her grace and purity and immediately made her his queen. ShimCheong, however, could not forget her father. She begged the king to host a great feast and invite all the blind people of the kingdom, hoping that her father might be among them. The king granted her request, and blind men and women from far and wide came to the palace for the feast. Among them was ShimCheong's father. He wandered into the palace, led by kind villagers who had cared for him. When he heard a familiar voice calling him, he trembled and cried out, "ShimCheong, my daughter, is it you?" Overcome with emotion, ShimCheong ran to him, took his hands, and led him to the front. In that very moment, a miracle occurred. ShimCheong's sight was restored. At last, he could see the face of his beloved daughter. Father and daughter embraced, tears of joy streaming down their faces.